Hello, I am Dr. Mohan Kumar from Government Science College, Bengaluru. Now, the topic that we are discussing is bee products and pests of honey bees. So, whenever we are talking about apiculture, we have to have some basic information about its life history, honeybee hive, flora for apiculture, etc. So, with brief introduction about all these things, then we start with bee products and pests of honey bees in this session. First of all, honeybee life history. Generally, after mating, queen lays one egg in each brood cell. Only queen is the fertile female in the colony. Queen is called the mother of the entire colony. Only queen is going to lay the eggs. It will lay one egg in each cell of the hive. Eggs are pinkish, elongated, and somewhat cylindrical in its shape. Larva emerges out of the unfertilized egg, becomes drone. The larva which develops from the fertilized egg becomes worker. They are female, but they are sterile. When required, larva is fed of royal jelly, a special type of diet secreted by young workers. Then that larva will become the queen. So here queen will lay the eggs will hatch out, and the individuals develop maybe or different type, that it may be drone, it may be worker. When it is required, they also develop the new queen for the colony. So the royal jelly that they are feeding, it consists of digested honey, the pollen mixed with glandular secretion of the young workers. Sorry. After 5 days of feeding, the cell is sealed. So once it is sealed, internally it undergoes the next process of development is called pupation. Young one emerges out after 3 weeks. Then they will involve or get busy in indoor activities for about 2 to 3 weeks. Then they will go for outdoor activities. So this is how the life cycle will continue as far as the honey bee is concerned. Whenever we are talking about the apiculture, we will come across with some very important terminologies like swarming, superseeder, etc. We'll see what is it. The process of living of colony by queen. Sometime the queen will run away from that place. That is called swarming. It happens in the end of the spring generally. The real cause, the reason for this swarming is still not yet very clear. But in summer, when plenty of food is there in the colony and the colony is overcrowded, population is too much, in such conditions, queen leaves the colony along with some old drones, and workers to establish a new colony in some other place. This is called as swarming. In the sense, the queen along with some of its family members will move to some other place and form new colony. That is called swarming. Next, superseeder. When the egg laying capacity of the queen is lost, or if it is reduced, or by chance if suddenly dies, The young queen takes the position of the old queen. That is called superseder, etc. Next, we also use the term what is called absconding. It is absconding, he is absconding, something like that. Migration of complete colony. Sometimes, if probably yesterday you have seen some colony, but today it is not there. That is absconding. Migration of the entire colony. Normally, it takes place due to the unfavorable conditions like destruction of the comb by termites or wax, moths, or scarcity of the nectar, or some disturbances, regular disturbances, etc. So, because to overcome all those things, they will run away or they will abscond from that particular place. That is called absconding. Then, nuptial or marriage flight. It is a second type of swarm. I mean, here it is led by the 7-day-old virgin queen, a new virgin queen, which is followed by drone. So that is called marriage flight. A 7-day-old or virgin queen will run away with some other individuals to establish a separate or new colony. That is called marriage flight. Then comes to the hive. The house of the honeybee is called hive, or it is also called honeycomb. The house of the honeybee is hive or honeycomb. You can see this consists of hexagonal cells. You can see the hexagonal, so many hexagonal cells here, made up of wax secreted by the worker. So the hive is consists of, or it is made up of large number of hexagonal cells, which is made up of wax which secreted from the workers. Generally, these hives hang vertically from the rocks, buildings, branches, etc. You can see here. Each hive has thousands of hexagonal thin-walled fragile cells arranged in two opposite rows on a common base. So that means there will be a common base. You will be able to see large number of hexagonal cells on this side as well as on the other side also. So you can see the large number of cells arranged in both the sides on both the sides of a common base. Resins and gums of plants are used for repair of hive. If any repair work is there, then the insects will use these materials for repairing the hives. If there is any damage due to some enemies, etc. The lower and central part of the hive contains brood cells. So if this is the hive, middle part as well as the lower part generally contains, they are meant for the development of what is called brood or nurseries, etc., for the development of eggs, etc. The upper part generally is filled with the what is called honey. The brood cells may be workers, drones, or queen cells. Honey is, as I told you, is stored in the upper part of the hive and is sealed with wax. So the upper part, where it is attached to that substratum or the branch or stone, etc. In that area, generally we will find a large quantity of honey. Fill the honey with those cells with the honey, then they will seal it with the wax. Normally, the adults do not live in the cells. You can see they keep clustering or moving on the surface of the comb. Okay, so this is about the hives. Then, whenever we are talking about the apiculture, one is the animal, the other one is the plant. The animal is here, the insect as such, the honeybees. On the other side, the plants are also equally important. That is flora. Honeybees can collect nectar and pollen from long distance. They can travel, but If they start spending so much of time only for traveling, the productivity will come down. So, sufficient flora and effective flora for apiculture is very important in the nearby place. Flora may be wild or it may also be cultivated type, whatever it may be that type, whether it's a wild or cultivated plants. More nectar yielding plants, some of the examples are, more nectar yielding plants are neem, jamun, soapnut, etc. I mean, good sources of pollen are maize, rose, sorghum, etc. But good source of both pollen and nectar. So, which plant? The plants which yield, I mean, both pollen as well as nectar in good quantity are cherry, apple, coconut, guava, mustard, etc. So, you need to have the minimum awareness about these plants. So, if you are cultivating some of the plants in such area, you can look into these plants. So, that is why minimum awareness about the flora which is required for apiculture is very much important. Now, we will move on to the next topic, that is products of beekeeping. Out of this beekeeping, mainly you will get two products, that is one is honey and the other one equally important is bee wax. Honey and bee wax. First we will start with the honey. All of you are aware, honey is one of the high nutritive value insect product. This is one of the very highly nutritive rich insect product with about 80% sugar. It contains about 80% sugar. I mean, it is very clear that it is not a direct plant product. Honey, whatever eating, is not a direct plant product. Nectar, pollen and sugar bearing secretions of the flowers ingested by the bee get mixed with its saliva. It is eating something, it is sucking something, it gets mixed up with the saliva of the insect, undergoes certain chemical changes. It is due to the presence of enzyme action, etc. So, whatever we are getting is not the plain nectar. In addition to that, some ingredients of the bees are also added now during this process. So, some of the ingredients of bees are also added. All these things ultimately lead to reduction in the water content. So, honey is viscous or thicker, the density is more compared to the water, it becomes, the water content will become less, reduced. The changes, because of all these things, this changes sucrose as such they have sucked into dextrose and levulose. Now, basically it was a sucrose, it was changed into dextrose and levulose. This mixture in this condition is then collected in the honey sac, that is also called crop. They are going to collect it until the bee reaches the hive, its house. When it reaches its house, where it's called regurgitates, something like we can call it as vomiting. Okay, all these things it is collecting in its crop or honey sac, it will regurgitate. Then concentrated by strong air current by rapid beating of workers' wing. So, normally there are some individuals continuously they will be beating their wings to create air current. So, that will further reduce the water content and it becomes more concentrated. As far as the chemical composition of this honey is concerned, I told you it contains almost 80% sugar. It contains almost 80% sugar, rich in sugar content with little ash, water and other components, fructose, glucose, maltose, sucrose, etc. Now, honey is very much sweet in its taste, and but it varies in its color and smell. All the honey are, sweet, but there will be a slight change or difference in its color and smell. It depends, or in accordance with the nectar or the juice it is collecting from different flowers, because the source is different. It depends on their composition. So there will be a slight change in the smell or the color, etc. If you store the honey for longer period, it gets granulated and fermented. You can it leads to the formation of a solid-like structure. Okay, this granulation is the best evidence of what is called pure honey. In simple words, if the honey is pure in the winter season, it becomes solid or crystal like structure. That is an indication of the quality of the honey. As far as the economic importance of honey is concerned, honey is used by human in different ways, of which we can classify basically into as a food. A second one is as medicine. Food value, it is a energy rich food, we call it as, because honey is rich in sugars, rich in vitamins and minerals. Honey is rich in sugars, vitamins and minerals. It is estimated that 200 gram of honey provides nourishment, which is equal to 11.5 liter of milk or 1.6 kg of cream. So that is the nutritive value of this honey. Honey may be taken by healthy as well as those who are ill. It can be taken in any season. You can use the honey in any season, either by all age group people, including just born. I think you are all aware. People use small quantity of honey to feed the young ones once they born. Used in preparation of cakes, breads, etc. Of course, that is very useful in bakeries. So these are the food values of honey is concerned. Then when it comes to the medical values, honey is known for its antiseptic and sedative properties. So it is antiseptic and sedative, generally used in Ayurvedic and Unani system of medicines. It is useful in building up of hemoglobin of blood. It is also known to prevent cold and cough. It is curative for ulcers in the digestive tract, alimentary canal, including tongue, etc. So, curative for ulcer in the alimentary tract. It is also used to cure pneumonia and dysentery. Honey is used as preservative also. Hence, I told you it's very useful in bakery. It is also used to make alcoholic drinks. Sweet gets fermented, hence it is useful in alcoholic drinks also. It is also known to stimulate growth in plants. Finally, honey is also used in the preparation of poison baits for flies. As it attracts, it is used as a bait to control or regulate the flies. Next, second product of apiculture is, first one is honey, second one is bee wax. Wax is very useful byproduct of beekeeping industry. It is a natural secretion of the worker bees. The color of the wax varies from yellowish to grayish brown. This wax is insoluble in water but soluble in ether. Maximum or large quantity of bee wax comes from the species Apis dorsata. It is going to construct the large hives, hence we will get maximum quantity of wax from Apis dorsata. Wax is used in the manufacture of cosmetics, face creams, paints, ointments, insulators, plastic works, polishes, carbon paper, and lubricants. In addition to all these things, wax is very much used in the laboratory for block preparation of tissues for microtomy. That is, to take the section, we will prepare the blocks for histological studies. There also, for preparing those blocks, wax is very, very useful. So now we will discuss about, in brief, the pests of honeybees. There are many enemies for bees which harm or which damage the comb, etc. Very important ones are the wax moths, wasps, ants, bee eater birds, king crow, honey bee mites, bear, etc. These are the common pests or the enemies of honeybees. In addition to that, many bacteria, fungus, virus, have been recorded as honeybee pathogens. All these microorganisms will also cause the damage for this apiculture or honeybees. But ultimately, man is the worst enemy of honeybees. Man is the worst enemy of honeybees. So, to conclude, honey is a good source of cottage industry. Still, we have scope for improvement as far as its quantity is concerned. It can be raised to the status of viable occupation, especially in the tropics, as tropical countries are rich in bee fauna. We have sufficient fauna, number of these animals in the tropical countries. Hence, with proper flora, you can still make use of these things to produce or to enhance the productivity of honey. It contributes for providing nutrition, employment in rural areas, and helps in raising the economic status of people. Thank you.